Wednesday afternoon football turns out to be shitty football.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Turned out to be very, very bad football. I think we could have expected it from the Baltimore Ravens, who haven't had the ability to practice, didn't have a lot of their players, have kind of run through the gamut here with the old COVID the last couple of days or whatever, or last week and a half or whatever. But the Steelers are also very, very sloppy. I mean, absolutely just a sloppy football game. The Steelers get away with the win, but obviously they don't cover because Trace McSorley comes in and throws an absolute dart at the end of the game, 3 minutes left, and somehow Hollywood Brown makes a big play. They score, ruin all the Steelers backers because that's what Vegas does. 70-some% of the money was on the Pittsburgh Steelers, minus 10, minus 10.5. It felt like that was inevitably going to lose, but had to back the Steelers strictly because Mark Schler said yesterday they were going to win by 20. We'll get to Tone Diggs here right now, who's a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan. First of all, Mike Tomlin had some electric quotes after the game yesterday. And I've been talking like this, I think, for the last maybe couple years, but definitely the last few months here as the Steelers have continued their undefeated season. Whether we can talk about whether or not they're the most impressive team in the NFL or not. They've won every goddamn game, so I think that has to continue to be talked about. But the way Mike Tomlin handles press conferences is gorgeous. It is beautiful. Everybody talks about the way Belichick handles them and how, we're on to Cincinnati and all that shit. But the way Mike Tomlin speaks so candidly and how he never really says much, but he uses words, big words, and keeps it moving. Yesterday, his post-game presser, maybe the best one yet that he's ever had. He cut a promo against his own squad a couple times, which is awesome. But if you're a Steelers fan, and Tone Diggs, I'm going to ask you about this, you have to be worried. First, Gary Gilbert and the Dallas Cowboys give you all you can handle. Then yesterday, RG3, who did have the over in rushing. By the way, shout out to one rush, by the way. Got it. That was a great bet. Foxy introduced it into my life. We both hammered that rather heavily. He had a fumble early, a pick six early. There was a lot of just ugliness going on in that game. And it was still a close game in the end. Tone, just like Mike Tomlin said, it looked like you guys were a JV football team, still undefeated. Now, this happened with the Packers last year, winning games. They're saying it was ugly. But are you worried as hell about the playoff run for the Pittsburgh Steelers with these couple games with Gary Gilbert and Trace McSorley dominating against the Pittsburgh Steelers, dude?
No. That doesn't worry me at all. Like I told you and I told everyone this week, it's the Steelers and Ravens. Like that was guaranteed to happen. That type of game was guaranteed to happen, especially when it moves 4 times. And like I said yesterday, I can't wait to get that fucking game over with. And it looked like and it seemed like the players were in the same exact boat. Now, if they were to, and the Steelers always, and we've talked about it with Ike, we've talked about it with Ryan Clark, they always play down in their competition. Now, if they were to get the doors blown off in the next few weeks by like the Bills or the Colts or the Browns or something like that, then I would be worried. If we're being honest, I just want to start the playoffs now because there's literally not one good thing that could happen the rest of the year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Only bad things can happen for the rest of the year for the Pittsburgh Steelers, like injuries like happened to Bud Dupree. There's nothing good that can happen the rest of the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, Bud Dupree tore his ACL. He's a massive part of that defensive line, obviously, that has been impactful in damn near all of their games. Bud Dupree also playing on a franchise tag. So now what does this do for his future whenever it comes, talking money, this whole thing. Ian Rappaport. Steelers pass rusher Bud Dupree is, in fact, done for the season with a torn ACL, source said, following his MRI. Mike Garafolo and Didi?
I think you got it.
Yeah, it's a Didi.
Didi reported initial test showed an ACL tear, and further tests have now confirmed Pitt's franchise tag player sets his eyes on 2021. Bud Dupree made himself a lot of money this year. Now, will the Pittsburgh Steelers pay him the amount of money that he will probably demand or command in free agency? Probably not. Okay, that's just not the way the Steelers normally operate, but maybe they will see what had happened leading up to this point and how much of an impact player Bud Dupree was. 280 pounds, runs very fast, and is a game wrecker alongside T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, all the boys all the boys on defensive line. That was obviously a sad situation from that Wednesday afternoon game.